What's up, everybody? Hey, it is Mike Widmer with the Expansion Real Estate Group. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to our monthly market update. As you can see, we've been a little busy over the last 30 days. If you didn't watch last month's video, my family and I made the decision after 6 long years of living in Fulton Ranch, just an amazing community down in southern Ocotillo and southern Chandler. We moved about 20 minutes to the east over here on the border of Queen Creek and Gilbert, and got ourselves a nice horse property, acre and a quarter, pool, big pole barn, super exciting. So it's been a long 30 days. So if you know, moving kind of stinks. It's a lot of work. We're about 3 weeks into it, and we're about 85% of the way there. So put us in your prayers, because I want to be done with this and get settled in and back to work. So let's jump into our market update and kind of see where we're at and what's going on. So if you remember, at the end of last year, we kind of saw a reversal of the downward trend in the market index, and we had been up, and then we continued that upward momentum in January. We started January at 108.6 and ended it at 117.4. So a nice 8.8 point jump in the index, which is kind of expected for the first part of the year. Been doing this for 24 years, and like clockwork, every year, about the second week of January, the market kind of picks up. Everybody gets done with Thanksgiving and the holidays, New Year, and then they kind of get back into real life, and then homes start coming back on the market, and buyers come back, to start shopping again. So everything kind of happened as we thought. There was a slight increase in inventory over the past 30 days. Last month we had 11,925 active single-family homes, and then currently today we have 12,252. So a decent increase, a 2.75% jump in inventory. Again, not surprising. Every year, a lot of people don't list their homes kind of between those holiday seasons because, one, they don't want the hassle. Two, it's a little bit slower, so many people wait until after the first of the year to put their house in the market. So super common to see that. Demand is what's been driving the increase in the Cromford the past 60 days or so. That has continued to go until the last 3 weeks or so. The last 3 weeks, rates kind of jumped up again. We peaked at around 8%, and we came back down almost to 6%. And the market that's kind of when we saw this shift. And then just the last 3 weeks, so it's just kind of crept up, not terribly, around 6.5, 6.75, but that slowed the momentum down, because if we look on our daily index chart, you can see we were coming down for a long time, 6 months, kind of bottomed out, and then rates were dropping, and the market was going up. But this is actually a week behind. This is actually at the end of last month. But you can kind of see right here, it just starts to flatten out, and then we still have about another 10 days after this where it's just literally flat. So we're going to kind of see that the market hasn't quite showed its hand yet for what it's going to do this year. It's really sad, not sad to say, but rates play such a big factor because there's a couple reasons for that. One, and the biggest one, is affordability. Prices in Arizona, even though we went through this, it's been 18 months. It's hard to believe that. It's been 18 months since we've seen this kind of higher interest rates already. And the market really hasn't come down that much in price. Actually, last month, the prices dropped 1.1%. From December to January, they dropped 1.1%. But year over year, they're still up 3.4%. So the market, yes, it takes a little dips in between, but overall, it's been going up. And remember, I've told you guys before, this Cromford Index is it's a leading indicator to prices. Prices are behind this. So I said usually between 3 and 6 months behind this is what prices do. So we're now into February. So you can kind of see here, we did have a little bit of drop off in prices at the end of the year, holidays, the Cromford Index. So we'll see, but with this bottoming out and kind of going up, I don't expect to see any further decline in prices. Maybe in February, just kind of this last little dip here in the Cromford, that'll play itself out. But here's another reason why I don't think that prices are going to go down anymore. On January 21st, we hit an all-time high. the highest it's ever been in the history of tracking in Arizona. I'm sure even before then, because prices are high. Active single-family homes, active listings averaged $366 per square foot as an active listing. Not what they sold at, but what the sellers are trying to get is the highest they've ever attempted for in the history of real estate. So with that being that high, I just don't see a drop off in prices more than we saw last month. So again, the next 30 days could be a little bit more of a drop, but as we come into the new year, activity picks up. I see these prices just continue to rise. I don't think they're going to go crazy, but I do expect to see a rise in prices over the next little bit, just by the way things are going. Another good thing is we have hit our basically what we call our annual sales rate. So last year we bottomed out at 72,000 homes sold. This is in Phoenix. Just 2 years prior to that, we sold 110,000 homes. So that's 38,000 home sales that didn't happen between those 2 years. That's a lot, especially if you think about real estate as a whole as an industry. As on what I do as real estate agents, that's 72,000 sides or 72,000 transactions that didn't happen for an agent. That's about 25,000 loans, 25,000 appraisals, about 38,000 escrows that didn't happen. So as an industry, that lower count really has an effect on the industry. But again, we should be about at the bottom of that, and we should see an increase in activity going forward. And what's really going to drive this thing is, and what kind of stalled rates was, if you guys pay any attention to the feds, they are backtracking a little bit. They had planned to lower the Fed rate in March. Now it's looking might be May or June before they do that. And the Fed rate is not what interest rates are not the same thing, but they kind of follow in the same path. So we'll see what happens when they start talking next month at the next meeting. When they start to hint that they're going to cut rates, then our interest rates will drop. And I've been saying this for the last few months now. Once we see our mortgage rates drop below 6%, I think it's going to go gangbusters again. There's just so many people that want to own a home that can't afford it. And there's so many sellers that aren't happy with their home that want to sell but can't justify it, going from a 2.99 to a 7. Doesn't make sense a lot financially. So if those rates do come down in the 5s and even the 4s, I don't know if we're going to see the 4s, but if it does, we could see a really crazy market again. So that's kind of where we're at. If there's anything I missed there, nope. And then just kind of I wanted to give you guys an update. The last few months we've been talking about the lawsuit that's going on in real estate, and Keller Williams, which is the brokerage I belong to, Keller Williams is worldwide. It's the biggest brokerage in the world. This month they made a choice to settle the lawsuit, and for me, I'm happy and I'm kind of disappointed in a way, because to me, settling kind of admits some sort of guilt, right? But I don't blame them. In the world we live in, it's a sue-happy world where they probably would have paid tens of millions of dollars to fight this to attorneys. They just decided to bite the bullet, settle the lawsuit, and the good news is that there won't be any copycat lawsuits to follow. That was part of their stipulations, that we can't have more lawsuits to come and affect the market. So Keller Williams as a whole, along with I think RE/MAX and a number of other big ones, have all settled the lawsuit. The National Association of Realtors are still fighting, and I think there's one of the big brokerage across the country that's still kind of fighting the lawsuit. But I think in the end they'll all settle, and again, it'll be good to put it behind us. But here's the good news. The good news is that I think it's going to increase communication, right? So there's agents like me, and this is why I kind of don't like them selling, because I've been very transparent my whole entire career. But there are agents that aren't, right? But it's going to force them to be now. So even the things that I say when I'm talking about commissions and how those work and things like that, I'll even be more clear than I was. I'm going to take an extra 2 or 3 steps to really explain it to make sure that there's no question to where those monies are going. And again, I think increased communication across an industry is a good thing, right? It happened to the lending institution in 2008, and there's just more clarity there and more communication, and there's just a more clear process of how that lending process works. So I think the same thing will happen here in real estate. I don't think we're going to see a huge change. The big thing was about the sellers paying the buyer's agent's commission. We've seen a few listings out there that are lowering that rate down a little bit, but overall it hasn't changed too much. Though it's the way that the industry's always been done, and I just don't see it changing too much in the future. But again, what it's going to do, increase communication between buyers and sellers, so you guys all know how the process works. So that's a little bit long-winded. Appreciate that though. But hopefully it'll be the last time we have to talk about the lawsuit. All right, guys. As with anything, a home purchase, a home sale, it's usually the biggest transaction you ever make in your life. So it's super important to work with somebody you trust, somebody who knows the industry, somebody who has some experience. You just don't want to take any agents off the street because it can really cost you a lot of money not knowing. So I appreciate you guys. I'm excited for the new home, and hopefully by next month we'll be all settled in and rolling forward. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great month.